here or there, whatever. Both, baby. Yeah.
All right, all right.
All right.
Thank you guys. Now, almost 21.
Yep.
And yeah, appreciate you guys checking it out and everything. I'm sure hitting home a lot with we're all the same, like I said earlier. So, Mr. Colin.
Yeah, man. So we're here, kind of killing two birds with one stone. It's always an honor to speak at this rehab, and it's an honor having you guys in here. I saw the documentary earlier today. Amazing documentary. It's one of those documentaries that really touched me, man, and just everything you've been through. And man, how did you get sober? For me, when I watched that movie, I feel like you don't hear it too much, but you didn't go to rehab or anything.
No.
And that was like, that's what really caught me. I mean, how did that, we'll just dive into this. I want to ask some questions, but how did you make that change from living that lifestyle, going that big to...
So I was on meth, and meth is known to cause a slight bit of paranoia. I'm like, even back then, it was 04, we weren't as like huge as like 98 with Freak on a Leash, but we were still on TV. Like Here to Stay and all these other songs were out there, and so in my mind, I'm like, I do not want to go to a rehab and be this like public figure guy, you know. And I was like scared, and I love rehab, and I have spoken at a lot of them, and I did actually go to some AA meetings too, and NA, but I was just so like I had social anxiety
when you were using
when I was trying, but I didn't. Anyway, it was just like because of public thing, because entertainment business, I didn't want to, I was afraid to like surround myself with people that would like treat me different. And so I had like a spiritual thing, man, where this dude, I don't know, everybody probably heard of like the guy Paul in the Bible, where he saw a bright light, fell off his horse, and he heard Jesus talk to him. I had a spiritual experience that was like, the afterlife became real. It opened up to me, and I was like, this is not the only thing that's going on where we're living. There's a whole nother world. And so that got me thinking to where like I need to change things. But the main reason is sitting to my left. You know, the fight, she made me want to fight, you know, and so that's it.
For a lot of people, going to rehab is the scariest thing. I mean, for me, that was the gnarliest thing ever. Was it hard first couple days trying to get off the drugs? For a lot of people, I mean, for me, I couldn't get clean without being in an environment where they literally had to trap me to make sure I wasn't using drugs. Was it fairly easy for you?
Dude, yeah, I just cut everybody out. Wow. It was, I don't
hear that a lot.
Mine's rare. My story is rare. Because it was just, it's different, you know, and I just, it's like I had a revelation that I was going to leave the band and be home with her and just cut everybody out of my life. I was done. I just flipped a switch. And I don't know why it happened that way, but that's how it happened.
I don't hear that a lot. I mean,
yeah, and I had a lot of support. Don't get me wrong. I had people that I did drugs with and partied with that I would go hang out with, and we would do like just groups, you know. So it wasn't like I was doing it all on my own. I had plenty of friends. So it was like an environment like this, you know. It just wasn't, you know, called a rehab. I had my group of people, and it was all spiritual, and I was like just high on that, you know.
I remember watching that like from the outside. It was like just as a fan. And I remember when you made the announcement that you were leaving and why. And I remember, because I was still in my addiction at the time, trying to like wrap my head around like how you could, like I didn't have anything. Like I literally was in like the deepest, darkest depths of hell with my own addiction, and I couldn't leave that. And so I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that you were ready to like say goodbye to, you know, that everything. so that you could.
Were you
try to
like,
find
he
something
done
new.
lost his mind?
It wasn't like that. It was just like I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Because you were a fan, and
Yeah.
you were like, were you still like going?
I was
at
still
it?
like
You were going at
actively
it,
using.
yeah.
I was deep in my addiction, and I just couldn't. Because, like I said, I didn't have anything, and I couldn't stop. You know, I was like when I got clean at the bottom of the barrel. You know, and so to think of somebody that you look up to, like I looked up to you guys, like just like, okay, well, this is something that I have to do, and I have to do this for my kid. And so when I watch that in the film, it's like heavy.
Wow.
You know, it's super heavy because my daughter's about to be 12. You know, and it's like it's a really heavy thing to watch. You know,
It's crazy
like a
because
dad,
like we come in and we have to raise these kids, but they actually raise us as well.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
they raise us to grow up. You know.
So you think if you didn't have your daughter, you'd still be using? Or was that the main cause to get clean?
It's a good question. Yeah, you know, she was like the angel sent from God to get my mind off myself. So who knows? I tell people all the time I could have been like 6 feet under now if she wasn't here. You know? So I don't know.
When your dad died?
I think it was 6.
Do you remember any of the times when he was?
He did a really good job of protecting me from it, but there were some nights where like I would wake up and he'd be on a computer like up at night and it kind of made me concerned. I'd be
Yeah.
like, why are you awake? And it would make me cry and stuff. But there was one night where he had to go to the hospital and I was just sleeping on the couch and one of his friends was like, okay, hey, and he scooped me up and I slept at their house. So I was too young to really know what was going on, but I definitely knew something wasn't right.
You're a specialist in this. Is that pretty rare for somebody just to get up and just stop using?
Well, like I said, it was like because I remember that. I remember that, and so I try to look at like when you're talking about your side of it from the child perspective, because like I grew up in a family of addicts too, you know, and so you know, like the film's kind of heavy because you talk about like the part about being like a kid and growing up on the tours and on the road and stuff like that, and so like as a kid you're probably like, this is awesome, I get so much freedom, I get to do all these things. You know, at what point did it kind of set in like that this is not, you know, this is weird, like I don't know what to do, and like how did you find your voice, you know, in all this?
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize something was missing or there was a problem until I hit school, and when all the kids, I guess, had their mom and dad, like I said, just like drop them off from school, pick them up, and whatever, Mother's Day, whatever, and so when I would have my grandma come and take me to school, or we had a family that would come watch me and whatever, and so yeah, I think around school that's when I started to realize that it hurt, and I kind of like I didn't know how to deal with it until I was probably 14. I went to boarding school.
Stories like that, and I'm like on the road, and then I go on the road and feel so bad that, you know, yeah, the kids are asking her about her mom, and I'm like, whoever, my mom would tell me, I'd just be like, oh my God, poor kid, her Grammy's awesome, and our parents have helped so much, you know, but as a dad, I'm like, I'm not even home. Her mom's at the picture, and I'm not even home. Like, she needs, and so I was wrestling with that. It's like I was thinking about, man, this band has really taken all my life away from our relationship away, and I started thinking about it would be cool if I could just, you know, step out of here and for a while at least. But then it was like you can't leave a band who's doing so well, you know. And so that's where the tug of war came in.
So what was that like that moment where, because in the film you say like, you know, you're the kid, you're like, can you do that? Can you actually leave the band?
Oh yeah.
What was that like to know like, okay, my dad's not around, but he's giving all that up?
Yeah.
Like how long did it take for that to like register for you?
Well, I think I remember exactly when it happened. We were in our house in Bakersfield, and we were standing like in the foyer area, and he was like, "I'm gonna quit KORN." I'm like, "Really?" Like in my head, like it didn't make sense because that was his job. He went away to work, and so I think when he quit and we were packing up and like talking about leaving and moving to Phoenix, that's when I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's doing this for me, you know.
So how old were you then?
6 or 7, I think it was 7.
When I told you I was leaving?
Or I was 6, and then I think when he
5 and 6.
when he put it into action, and like, because, you know, throughout my life there was like promises, and then they weren't, you know, they weren't kept. And so when he like put it into action, I was probably 7, and he was a big
Yeah.
deal. So.
I think the hardest thing for people full-blown addicted and then getting sober is finding your new way of life. Because for me, it was like being reborn again, man. Learning all this shit new. When you are on a whole different universe, like what you do, I mean, that's kind of the lifestyle.
Isn't it similar though to what
Motocross, yeah, but I feel like, I don't know, who you guys are is gnarly. You know what I mean? How did you get back? Was it hard doing it sober after that?
To go back in the band?
Yeah, I mean, band, was it hard just learning life again, doing it sober?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know, did it take you? How long was that transition? I mean, it took me a while. I feel like I'm still kind of learning, but...
Yeah, me too, but...
So like, what was that like on both sides?
Oh gosh, it's like, things happened that were really positive for like a year after I got sober. I was like, this is it. And like I said, I was a Jesus fanatic, because it was just like this, his supernatural life was flowing into me, and I was just a junkie. And I was like, and everybody's like, oh, he's lost his damn mind, but it was so real to me. It was like he was there in the house with me, you know, and I felt this.
How did you find that?
I found it in my drug closet. I was just like real. I was like, God, if you're real, like I don't want a Ned Flanders life. I need something to come and just, you know what I'm saying? That's what I thought it was all about. I don't want to be that type of person. Like if you're, like I need you to just pour into my soul like living life, and do what that guy said you could do. Because I went to a church.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I thought Christians were like Ned Flanders, but I went to this church. There was all these like ex-gang members, just like gnarly looking guys, and so it was like more scary than a KORN concert in the front row at the church. They were crazy, and I was like, this is crazy. And then so, I'm sorry, I lost track.
Were you going to church when you were still using?
I was, because the pastor was so cool. He was like, come high, just come. He's like, you don't clean yourself up and get in here. You come here messed up, and let the Spirit like move you and fill you with that empty hole that you're trying to fill with that junk. He said, if you dedicate your life and you mean it. Like when you go home and you're alone, you mean it, and when you come here, you're not playing some act, then there's no way the stuff in your life can stay there. And so I just was like listening to what he was saying, and I put it to practice, and everything that he said happened.
You said when you found it, you dumped your drugs the next day, right?
I mean, it was a process. It's a little cloudy, but it was really in. I forget when I dumped the drugs, but yes, I did after a certain period. Yeah, and so and I realized that. You know, for some people it's a process. Mine was more quick. I don't know why. We're all wired different. We're all have different journeys and different encounters and different ways of healing. So that's just what happened to me. But so in answer, I'm gonna go back to your question. So that first year was like, I felt like I was like in the clouds. I felt really happy a lot. I had some anger outbursts, but about a year into it, things started coming back up, like depression and all that, and then just the pressures of having everything on my shoulders as far as like, you know, I didn't know how to do bank, like practical things, and I was learning like online banking, and like I had people pay my bills, I had people do everything for me. So like we had bodyguards walking us everywhere, and they would like yell at us if we went somewhere alone, our bodyguards. I'm like, I pay you, punk. No, you can't go anywhere. You gotta tell us, that's our job. And I'm like, shut up, I'm not a fucking 5-year-old kid. So I relearned everything, and then the pressures of life came, and then I got hooked up with some just shady business people, and I started losing money. And then the pressures of life like were really coming on me, and then so that's when I was tested. My character was tested, and then it took like about 5 years before I finally was able to get my emotions under control, punching holes in walls and doing all that
It's
stuff.
a big deal having like all the money and then like losing it all. Did you ever get in a rut where maybe you thought using maybe one day would fix anything, or was it? Did you ever have any problems like that?
Yeah, there was one day where I was like driving by this bar and there's all these people partying, and I was just so fed up with everything, and I was like, hey, where can I get some fucking meth? At the bar, and they just like people looked at me, and I was
Right here.
and I just floored it after if someone came running out, I don't know what I would have done, but I floored it, and I was like, wait, that's the wrong action to take. So I was just fed up. It was like, because God was so real to me, I was trying to piss him off, type of deal, And so, I got out of there. But yeah, I had some thoughts, but you know what? It was like, what good did all those free alcohol endorsements, all of those lines, all of the years and years? I just would tell myself, what good would it do? Like one more line, what's that going to do? Absolutely nothing positive. What's one more drink going to do for me? Absolutely nothing. And I had learned enough in trying to gain wisdom to where if you don't deal with your junk, then you're just gonna put a Band-Aid on things. So I don't know. It's like I had some strength in me just to fight around the edges, But I'm a lot more calm, and my emotions are like steady.
What made you guys want to do this documentary? How long has this been in the works? Doing this? It's been a long time deal.
I mean, it was such a long time, like since he got saved, 2005. So MTV had a spiritual show, like a reality show that they were gonna come out with, and so they followed him around. And then it didn't work out, so he kept all the footage. And basically, he wanted to do a documentary at some point, and so it just I'm second. The film company, I guess they have little like 10-minute videos of like testimonies.
It's like you. It's like you're like gung ho to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had all this footage, and I'm like, man, I want to tell my story in a documentary one day. And I tried to do it a couple times within 10 years, and didn't hit walls. And I'm like, I do not want to do a documentary. This sucks. I put all the stuff in the closet, and I like forgot about it. And then people came to me about 5 years ago. I'm second, and they got funding for it. And I'm like, if it's supposed to happen, then we need funding because I lost so much money, And so we got funding, and off we go.
Great movie, man.
It was the process, man. A lot of patience testing,
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's one of those documentaries that's going to help people out there,
Hopefully, that's the goal. Did you see it before today, dude?
I saw it a couple days ago. I watched it like 3 times.
Really?
The part in the movie when you had that awakening moment, where you found God, you wanted to put the drugs down. What was that moment? I think I asked, but we got sidetracked. What was that moment where you found God and you were over drugs? Didn't you say like a bag of meth fell out of the closet or something, and you knew that was a sign, I believe? Or what was that defining moment?
I'll have to read my book. It's a blur. I mean, I remember I was clean for a couple days, and I got all this like, when we're clean for a couple days, we're like, I'm good. I can lead the program. And that's happened to me. I'm like, I'm clean. I'm good, man. This is awesome. And then one of my friends was like, dude, you clean out your house yet? Because you were pretty spun out, and who knows what you did in there. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. And I went back there and I found a first aid kit, and I was like, what does that do on the top of my closet? I opened it and 2 8 balls fell out. And I like turn off my phone. and went on a binge. And I'm like, so I couldn't get high the same way. I felt like guilty because I was so ready, and so I felt guilty, and so but I tried I tried like 3 more days, and it wasn't happening. So.
Was that when you dropped your daughter off at the hotel?
Yeah, I was around there.
That was gnarly.
And then it's a blur, bro. I gotta read my book, I really do. But I did find meth again, and then I filmed myself throwing it in the toilet, and that's the last time I ever touched it. It was like I had to look at it, and I'm not saying everybody's got to look at the drugs again, but like to me, it was like I had the sack in my hand, and I'm like, I put it down, and I walked around, and I kept saying this scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I walked in my living room, and then all of a sudden I saw this picture of me going to grab it and pouring it into the toilet, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna take pictures of this because I can show people this is the day I quit. And that was the idea I had, and I went and I poured it, and I put the pictures in my book. If it's all like crystally falling out into the toilet, and that's the last time I ever used.
Wow.
So it wasn't like a thing where it like I was all strong because I was weak, and I had to pace and ask for strength, you know. And so, yeah.
So, being that you're like a public figure, you're used to all the stuff that you do. How was it for you to like think about putting all your life out there for everybody to see, and your experience for everybody to see? Because this is a raw, emotional, like intimate look at your life.
Sure is.
And so, like,
It was not easy. It was definitely not. When I was doing the interview stuff, I was 15 years old, and so I was I'd been in my program for like a year and a half, maybe less, and so I hadn't even started like the real deep healing, you know, that needed to happen.
Actually, the deep healing was going on there. It was like it was.
I think it was like breaking the surface because I don't know, just a lot of childhood trauma. You know how it goes, and so like it's a lot to unpack. And so I think when I did the interview, that's broke the surface, you know. And so you know what I'm saying. And so yeah, it was challenging, but even in my 15-year-old head, I was just like, I know that so many kids, so many of my friends, like were going through the same thing and worse, and so. I didn't want to be selfish about the help that I got. You know what I mean? I want everyone, every kid, every parent, whoever, adult, whoever, to experience the same help that I got. And so that's what pushed me to finish the documentary. He actually gave me the choice. They all did. Tori Mayo, everybody gave me the choice. If I didn't want to be in the film, I didn't have to. But I just really felt like people needed to find hope and. Yeah.
And so since she was 15, she's been in that program, and Awakening Youth, Tiffany Claywell over here, she helped me talk to her about it, and she was like, if she wants to, it's something that she could be proud of later in life. But it was like, I told her, we can meet the people that are going to film it, and then we can film it, and it could be your footage. And if you say, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way that looks, I don't want to use that, or like I don't want to use any of it, and I was like, you own the footage, how about that? And yeah, so there wasn't much pressure, you know.
Do you guys have any questions?
So you still clean today?
Yeah.
Always hopped up.
I don't think I'd be invited here if I wasn't. I could lie. I tried drinking wine like 3 years ago, and I'm like, it's been 10 years. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm totally free. I'm a new person. It's been 13 years, whatever it was at the time. And I was like, just one glass, you know, I can have with friends. Then I was on tour, and I'm like, and freaking 2 glasses. Like, there's nothing wrong with 2 glasses. By the time I got home, I dusted a bottle, and I was like, I can't drink. But I'm gonna quit next month since I started. So I started drinking beer. Coors Light was like my idol, and I bowed to the Coors Light. So, and then like in Nashville, I live in Nashville, so I was in the country bars, just like just all by myself, you know. I'd just go there,
That's-
and then someone come up to me and say, "Hey, are you in a band?" And I'm like, "No, man." I get up and walk away and go to bed. I was in this stupid loner rut, and I just wanted to feel the drunkenness and just. And then I got to a place where I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit tomorrow. And then I couldn't quit, and it got scary. And then I started talking to some people. It was like a 2-month thing though. And then, so, yeah, always remember where you were, because the lies you can tell yourself, right? So I did have a hiccup.
That's good. You stopped, man, before it got too big of a problem.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the middle of reading your book in rehab. And
Oh,
it's like-
really?
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Like, I'm like finally finding out like how you got into the band of KORN and how like you felt kind of left out with your friends and thought about going back to the gas station, you know?
Yeah.
Work for your dad and stuff.
Dude, it was crazy how I joined that thing.
Yeah, and like that book is just I kept want to keep reading.
Oh,
each
just
page,
wait.
you know?
It gets crazy.
And I was just wondering, like, do you have any other passions, like hobbies other than playing guitar?
I love to read. I'm kind of like fanboying over him because I've always wanted to. I always loved motorcycles,
Oh, yeah.
and these guys took it to the extremity, man. Doing freaking. But I told my daughter earlier, I told my daughter earlier, I go, you think I was crazy back then? This guy was up for 2 days doing backflips.
Crazy. Wow, you're the legend, dude.
Dude, not even. But yeah. So I love to read. I'm actually went to look. I was going to talk to you about it. I went to look at a Zero, those electric motorcycles today, and
The
and
dirt
so
bikes or the street bikes?
it's both.
Oh, the Enduros?
Yeah.
Those things are sick.
But so that's a hobby that I'm going to pick back up.
You better be careful.
What are your hobbies?
God,
What are your hobbies?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know what. Tell them your hobby.
You didn't ask me.
What are your hobbies?
Animals. I love animals. I have a ferret. Dude, she's so
Ferrets are illegal here.
They sure are.
She's like, I can never go to the West Coast because they're illegal. But I go, I'll have my manager find
God,
a
don't
vet
even
that
say
will work
that.
on them. Like just some undercover black market for
TMZ, Rockstar's daughter gets arrested for having a ferret.
Still shady. I'm still shady in the right way. For good causes.
That's awesome. I got another one. What tattoo means the most to you?
Her.
What?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Tommy Montoya and Mikey Montoya, the brothers. Anybody hear of them? Yeah, they're popular out here. So, Mikey did this KORN. You know, it just symbolizes like, you know, rough upbringings. You know, childhood traumas, whatever. That's what it's a KORN record, Untouchables, and it's like abused youth or whatever. And then Mikey did this. Tommy did this. And so this is my favorite arm, but
That's good.
yeah, that one.
Do you have
That's
any?
a really good one. But what advice do you have for all these guys getting out of rehab and starting that new life? I mean, you know, for me, I had to find a hobby. For me, running saved my life. Never ran ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe running from the cause, but now I run every day. And that, like, I mean, you gotta trade your addiction for something else. I feel for you, it was, you know, finding Christ and doing all that. Do you think you traded one addiction and really went big in that? Was that?
Yeah.
That was what you
Totally.
did?
It was like, to me, I found the meaning of life, though. So it wasn't like a thing where, and I know on the outside it looks like, oh man, he just traded it for religion. He went full force with that. But man, once you get past just the BS of the Americanized Christian religion, and you find that opening into the spiritual world, it's like a funner game than like a Fortnite or whatever. Engage in that with the afterlife, and it's like you get signs. I want signs. You know, you did this for this way, and you get signs, and so that was all for me. But physically, I started working out a lot.
How does somebody take those first steps into finding like all these signs? You know, for me, I don't go to church, but I know there's a higher power. I pray every single night, like how I survived and how I got through all that stuff and led me to be where I am now. But like, somebody's listening, how do you find that time? Is it going to church, or like how do you get to that stuff? Because like Ronnie Fice, I see him. I see how you talk about it. Like, I want to feel that.
Yeah.
And I've tried many times, but I mean, I think it's a little bit more complex and I just don't know. How do you, you know?
But you see signs all the time.
I do, and I feel that somebody was 1,000% looking over me, you know? And like 100%. I said, I pray every night. I talk to him how I want to talk, but how do you get to a level where you're very connected, and you know, how does somebody start?
I think it's like everyone's on a journey, different journey, you know? And it's like, you're seeing what you're seeing right now. I'm awakened to one level. You're awakened to in one level. Ron's awakened to another level, and I just think desire.
Okay.
Desire is the number one thing. Like I want this to be real, and not being religious about it. You know, just being real. Like it's like your best friend. You can tell anything to. You know, and that's how I see God. Like you got to tell him anything. And it's like hunger, spiritual hunger, and everything. But dude, you are like making a huge difference in this world. I mean, you're just talking about feeling like that to the real extreme, the ways I talk about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What did it take to have you get back into your daughter's life?
And she's always been a part of my life, but so she went to the boarding school. Are you talking like in that?
Yeah.
So I was right there along the journey with her.
Yeah, for me a big deal because of like my childhood and stuff. Like, abandonment was a huge thing, and so he made it very clear that when he put me in the boarding school program that he was not abandoning me or like he's just, I'm not too much for him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just doing the best that he knew how. So he was there every step of the way. He didn't miss one visit, one visit, one phone call. He was like wanted more visits. He was there through every step.
Yeah, and so I got a condo about 30 minutes away from it, and me and Tiffany were talking about like we need something that you call your guys' own, you know, a place, because she lived at the place since 15, but she was with me for 8 years, all males. So she needed feminine surroundings, and but I was like, I bought a place right there, and she had her bedroom, and so every time I came to town, we chilled there, and it was a home life, you know. So, but yeah.
I was thinking, you were asking like how he got to that place. I think him finding passion was really important, and keeping the desire to connect with God, and listening. Worship was a huge thing. Like worship music was a really big thing that helped him, I guess, find a more intimate relationship with God. So yeah, I think like he's like I don't really know, but I remember when I was a kid, like he would play worship all the time. He'd be in his word all the time. You know,
read books. Books was good to me. But I'm wired that way, you know, and so I was like, I wanted that peace. I wanted it to be real, or I didn't want it at all, you know, and so I was just went after it.
Yeah.
It's like purpose, right? You see your purpose.
Yeah.
So,
and everyone's different. It's like I was crazy with it. I went full force, and then, but some people are different, you know. It's to each their own. Do you have any? This is my friend Eric Gregerson. He lives in Redlands. IE right here, boy right there. I'm trying to articulate it, and he's kind of like me, but maybe on steroids. So, do you have any way to articulate it?
I think you're right on with the desire part. You know, it's like the thing about religion is like most people go because we just want the fix, right? Like I turn to the Lord because it's like, just fix my issue. If you fix the issue, then I'm good. That's all I needed out of it. There's a pretty big gap between fix my issue and it's like, I am so determined that I want to feel your presence. I'll do whatever.
I'll look like a fool.
Yeah, because that's the thing I noticed about you was like, you would do whatever. It's like, I'll go to a conference, I'll look like an idiot, I'll
I'll hang out with old ladies with blue hair, like
yeah, like literally kind of. It was like I have to experience like it was a necessity for you. Is the way I just experiencing you as a friend. It was a necessity for you, and it still is. So I think that's the kind of the separation. It's
like the desire is that just going to church and really taking it all in. Maybe I feel because like I kind of want, like I see you and Feist, and I kind of want that, man. But I just
churchy. You're like, I'm not churchy type of guy.
But see, I'm not. Like you know. And I pray like I talk to like he's my friend. I pray every night, but I can't really deal with church. I don't go to church, but
I don't go a lot either because of my lifestyle, you know. But I did for a long time. I went every. But you know what I did is like I watched it online a lot too, and you honestly you want to choke some of the Christians out there.
You and I fight like something just happened and like I don't know.
So I have a question. It's two-parter. First one, kind of stupid. Later. So for you being in the limelight for so long, did you want to feel like get your life back, not just for your daughter, for your drugs, but kind of for yourself? Because like, do you look back at what you had, like growing up, being like, I wish I could like do those types of things again without the use of drugs or alcohol?
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I dreamt about music and writing and having people like dig the sound I created, and just I don't know, I just loved it so much. I enjoyed it, like writing, you know. It was like, and so when I got into the industry and everything else came, it was like that innocence was gone, you know, with the music. Like the motives for music was different. It was like, and so just getting sober and everything that helped me connect to that inner child again and be like, you know, what is music for? And so that was really cool.
Yeah. Second part is how long have you been growing out your hair?
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, how old's your daughter? Like about 10 years. But my hair is so curly, it's like dreads are the best thing for it. Else it just goes, if it's not in dreads, it goes like this. So let me ask you, you've been a little quiet. What about, I've heard a lot about you today. We've been busy, haven't had a lot of time to talk, but like what is your, with everything you've been through and everything, where does your joy come from? How do you have this reputation of just being so like, man, this is, I don't know if I would change what happened to me, or like how do you have the positivity so much?
Dude, it's like I've always been that like the happy-go-lucky guy growing up, you know.
Really?
And when I got hurt, dude, I went dark. I went dark, dude. It was like I have two kids, and I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? I can't move from the neck down. I'm like, dude, I'm paralyzed. What kind of life am I gonna give them? You know, like I lay in bed and sit there and cry. Why this happened to me? You know, like what can I do now? You know, I can't even feed myself. You know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But so I sat there and I got dark and I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to live, and I'm like, dude, like this isn't me, you know, definitely not. You know, like I said, I was always a happy kid in high school, and, you know, cracking jokes all the time, and I laid there and just said, you know what, I'm not gonna live the rest of my life like this. You know, I'm not gonna live sitting here fucking laying in bed crying and fucking saying why this happened to me. I have to accept it. You know, I accepted it. Once I accepted it, dude, my life turned around.
Really?
Accepted it.
And then you were that guy again.
Yeah, I turned into that guy where, you know, I was happy, and, you know, I said, you know what, my life's not bad. You know, it could have been worse. I could forget. You know, I thought of that. Like, I could not.
It's powerful, Russ, what you said.
My kids could not have their dad.
How you were saying if you had a chance to walk with him.
Oh, yeah.
Probably would. I mean, because you accepted it.
Yeah, no, it's like...
This guy calls me, he's more active than my friends that aren't. Like the way he lives, it's amazing. That one saying, what we always say in our podcast, I mean, tell everybody, it's the most meaningful and truest quote, how everybody here has a chance.
Oh, yeah, you guys have the choice to, like you guys can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I'm not gonna do drugs or alcohol again. You know, I can't wake up tomorrow and say, shit, you know what, I'm gonna go for a fucking run.
You can't go
I
there.
have to sit here and like accept that I'm paralyzed from the neck down. I can't move, and this wheelchair is my legs. You know, but I accept it, dude. And I've told you guys before, and I've told Colin. Like people say, dude, if you could walk tomorrow, would you? And I'm like, you know what? Why not, dude? Because I've met so many cool people that if I didn't get hurt, I wouldn't have met them. And I wouldn't be the person I am now, you know. So
Crazy.
You know, this wheelchair is my bro.
You were the jokester and everything?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, why does Snoop Dogg buy an umbrella? Or Drizzle? Sorry.
Well, I think it's so cool you guys coming in. I've looked up to you so much for who you are in the band, but after today and seeing this, I look up to you in a whole different way. I mean, being open, doing what you did, that is so much more gratifying, powerful what you guys are doing, because that movie alone, you know, that's probably going to help a lot of people. I mean, just your testimony and everything, you've helped me, just telling your story. So, I mean, it's very commendable, and I think I got a lot of respect for you and you too, and
For sure.
you guys are a good team,
Dude.
man.
Is that like your, I mean, it's got to be like a hope, right? Not only for this project, but I mean, I feel like if you have the willingness to put it all out there like that, there has to be some part of you that says like, I want to like help people. It's like is there some dream inside of you that wants to?
100%. Like the goal would be to change the foster care system, change how people, you know, like single parents, kids who have been adopted, trauma, anything, you know. And so, yeah, I think that movie is a good model for how to, I guess, help kids and be able to give them a better life and the skills to have a better life. So yeah, it's very important for me.
She's barely getting started, man. I can't wait to see what happens.
Well, that's a hell of a start.
And there's no, right?
Yeah.
It's just gonna unfold, man. And I don't know. It's an honor to be back here again with all you. And dude, and same goes for you, man. I look up to you and everything. We literally like kept talking about you today. He was just telling me about you, and a lot of it was like, this guy's freaking a trip. He's like crazy. But he was telling me so much about what good you're doing. Then he showed me a building of like all the opportunities you have, man. It's so incredible. And how long you been doing this?
What?
Just everything, like on your path to like just help the world.
I don't really think I'm doing much. All I'm doing is telling my story, the same thing you're doing. And back to like the 12 steps in the meetings, I really don't go to meetings. I know it's probably not what a lot of people, that's not the way to do it. But for me, which is working for me, is doing this. I reach out to anybody that hits me up. Luckily I got a good fan base, whatever, but I'll get a couple strangers' numbers that are dealing with problems, and I'll call them. So I just feel that I'm always surrounded. You know, it's the times when you think you got it, like I got this, and you just forget about who you were. That's the time you're gonna probably go back out, you know. But this is working for me, you know. So to answer your question, and I'm really not. I mean, you guys are doing pretty much the same thing. I just think that's the most powerful thing. By instead of holding all the dark shit, you change your life to be open about it. Because I realize when I'm open about it, dude, nobody's ever came up and said, dude, I can't believe how fucked up you are. It's the other way. People are like, you know what, my family member's dealing with this. Or like, I just feel everybody's jacked up, but you're not gonna see it on Instagram. Social media is so fake. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's got issues, so I think by telling how you got through your problems, and it goes a lot farther. So that's the only thing I'm doing. Nothing big. I'm just real.
Well, it's awesome. Whatever.
And back to the dirt bike thing. I mean, I'm not the guy to look up. This guy right here is such a miracle.
Really?
He's the first guy to ever do a backflip on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
I mean,
Caleb.
the first guy to ever do a dirt bike. And when he was homeless, strung out on heroin for 15 years, me and Russ, and he had no hope for life, dude. We told him about, dude, sobriety. meeting this guy. He's here. I mean, he's a fucking miracle. I think all you guys are for even being here. You know, but he's a really success story, man. I mean, Caleb, you know, I'm fucking proud of you, and you look, it's just really cool. So, I'm not the guy, he's the guy.
Wow.
That's a fucking legend, dude.
That's so awesome, yeah. So cool.
Yeah, man. So,
Thank you guys for coming out.
Get healed. Family can get healed, and they are worth it. They are worth to have a loving family and to look in them in the mirror and say, I'm a good person. I'm the best version of myself I've ever seen. All of these men and women, Lord, and I ask you that you would just become real, more real to all of us, because it is a walk of faith, and it's by we look into the invisible. It's by faith, not by sight. But you know, when you do these little glimpses, and just your glory of God is just the character of who you are. It's just love. It's eternal love. It's joy. It's a peace that comes with an experience. It's not just peace. It's a heavy, weighty peace, and just you're so big, but you're so gentle at the same time. And let them feel that through your glory. All of us, Lord, from Colin to every man and woman in this room, become more real and fill that hole that we try to fill ourselves with all of these things that make us self-destruct and annihilate everything in our lives, Lord, and ruin everything. And so thank you for everybody here. Give them the strength to get through this fight, and if there's any falls, that they just brush their knees off, get the dirt off, and get right back up and walk. That's it. Amen.